The neighborhood was calm and peaceful, filled only with the sounds of birds, a light breeze, and the quiet rhythm of a normal morning. That peace lasted until the day Karen Westfield decided she had the authority to act like judge, jury, and executioner over my Corvette. The sharp screech of her voice echoing across my lawn is something I'll never forget. But I'm getting ahead of the story. It all really started on a beautiful Sunday morning when I stepped outside to admire my freshly waxed Corvette. I had spent nearly 3 hours detailing every inch of that cherry red machine. Watching it shine in the sunlight made every minute worth it. That's when I saw her walking across the street toward me, arms folded tightly and her face twisted into the familiar scowl that had already become legendary in our neighborhood. "Excuse me," she called out, stopping directly between me and my car. "I need the keys to that vehicle immediately." Her voice carried the confidence of someone who believed they were completely in charge. I stared at her for a moment, wondering if she was serious. "Karen, what are you talking about?" I asked, trying to stay calm despite my growing confusion. "This is my car." She lifted her chin slightly and narrowed her eyes. "That is not your Corvette. It belonged to my brother. I don't know how you ended up with it, but if you don't give me those keys right now, I'm calling the police." She held out her hand like she expected me to obey instantly. Within an hour, the police really would arrive, but they definitely wouldn't be coming for me. I had moved into Oakwood Estates only 3 months earlier. After years of working hard and saving carefully, I had finally managed to buy my dream home in what was supposed to be a peaceful, upscale neighborhood. The cherry red Corvette Stingray sitting in my driveway represented a lifelong goal. I had promised myself I would own one someday. Ever since I was a teenager flipping through car magazines, what I didn't expect was the attention it would attract from the Homeowners Association, especially from Karen Westfield, the HOA president, who seemed personally offended by the car's existence. From the moment I moved in, Karen made it clear she had a problem with it. At first, there were polite notices about community aesthetic standards. After that came less polite comments whenever she saw me driving through the neighborhood. "That color is quite attention-grabbing, don't you think?" she'd say with a sugary smile that never reached her eyes. "Most homeowners here prefer something a little more subtle," I always answered with the same polite smile while secretly wondering how many times I could rev the engine without technically breaking any noise rules. Things started getting worse when Karen began leaving bright neon violation notices on my windshield. One read, "Vehicle in violation of community guidelines, excessively flashy appearance." Another claimed my car disrupted neighborhood harmony. Check the HOA bylaws carefully. There was nothing about car colors or models, only rules regarding where vehicles could be parked and whether they were maintained properly. When I pointed that out during the next HOA meeting, Karen brushed it off with a dismissive wave. "The board has the authority to interpret guidelines when necessary for the welfare of the community," she said. The real turning point came after I installed a new exhaust system. It wasn't especially loud. I had specifically chosen one that wouldn't disturb the neighbors, but the deeper rumble caught Karen's attention immediately. The following morning, I saw her standing near my Corvette, taking pictures with her phone. When she noticed me watching from inside the house, she marched straight to my door and pressed the doorbell repeatedly. "Your car is now in direct violation of noise ordinances," she announced the moment I opened the door. "If you don't remove that modification within 48 hours, I will have it towed at your expense." Her face was slightly red with excitement, like she was enjoying the moment. "Karen, the exhaust is completely within legal decibel limits," I said calmly. "I checked the city regulations before installing it." She leaned forward and lowered her voice. "This isn't about city regulations," she said quietly. "This is about HOA rules. And as president, I decide what counts as a violation." The message was clear, but I wasn't going to be intimidated. I simply nodded, thanked her for her concern, and closed the door. Later that night, I installed a security camera pointed directly at my driveway just in case. That turned out to be a smart decision. Over the next 2 weeks, Karen intensified her campaign. She sent a community-wide email complaining about certain residents who were disturbing the peace of the neighborhood with inappropriate vehicles. She even tried to organize an emergency HOA meeting to discuss new vehicle appearance rules that would conveniently target cars like mine, when the other board members didn't support her idea. She started trying more direct tactics. One Saturday afternoon, I walked outside and caught her, crouched near my Corvette with a tape measure, carefully measuring the distance between the car and the curb, apparently hoping she could find some kind of parking violation. When she noticed me watching her, she gave a small smile and said, "Just doing my duty as HOA president. Someone has to keep standards around here." The next day, I discovered a notice taped to my front door claiming that my car was leaking fluids onto the driveway. It was completely false, and I quickly disproved it by taking photographs that clearly showed the spotless concrete beneath my vehicle. Then came the Sunday when Karen finally crossed the line from simple harassment into something far more serious. I was outside enjoying the morning sun, polishing the last layer of wax on the hood of my Corvette, when Karen stormed across the street toward me. Several neighbors were outside as well, walking dogs or picking up their mail, and they all paused to watch as Karen stepped between me and my car, folding her arms across her chest like a human barricade. "I've had enough of this charade," she announced loudly, making sure everyone nearby could hear. "That is my brother's Corvette, and I want the keys right now." Her voice shook with what sounded like real emotion, but there was something overly dramatic about the performance that immediately raised suspicion in my mind. I stared at her, stunned. "Karen, what are you talking about? I bought this car brand new 3 years ago. Don't lie to me," she shouted, her voice rising sharply. "That's Robert's car. Same model, same color. He passed away last month, and his car disappeared from his garage." She pointed directly at the custom license plate frame. "He had that exact frame. You stole it, and I'm going to prove it." By now, several neighbors had moved closer, discreetly holding up their phones to record the confrontation. I took a deep breath and tried to stay calm. "Karen, I'm sorry about your brother, but this is my car. I have all the documentation to prove it." I reached for my phone, but she suddenly lunged forward, trying to grab my car keys from my hand. "Give me those keys," she demanded, her face twisted with anger. "That car belongs to my family." I stepped back quickly, keeping the keys out of her reach, which only seemed to make her even angrier. "You're a thief," she snapped. "A common criminal who moved into our neighborhood, thinking nobody would notice." "I'm calling the police," I said firmly, keeping my distance. "This has gone too far." Karen's expression shifted instantly from rage to smug satisfaction. "I already did," she said proudly. "I called 911 before I came over here. I reported a grand theft auto in progress. They should be here any minute to arrest you and impound my car." Almost on cue, the distant sound of police sirens began echoing through the neighborhood, growing louder as they approached. 2 patrol cars pulled up in front of the house, and 3 officers stepped out, clearly puzzled by the scene. Karen rushed toward them immediately, pointing dramatically at Corvette and me. "That's him, officers. That's the man who stole my brother's car," she cried, tears suddenly streaming down her face. "I have the spare key at home and all the paperwork. He must have hotwired it somehow." The lead officer, a calm and professional woman, asked both of us to remain apart while they figured out what was going on. "Sir, can you provide proof that you own this vehicle?" she asked me. "Absolutely," I replied, unlocking my phone and opening my digital glove box app. "I have photos of the title, registration, insurance cards, and the original purchase agreement from the dealership." I handed her the phone, showing the documents with my name clearly listed on them. "I also have the physical copies inside the house if you'd like to see them." The officer examined the digital files and then asked for the physical copies as well. I went inside and returned with the documents, along with the original sales contract from the dealership. While I was calmly providing all this evidence, Karen was growing more and more agitated. "Those documents are obviously fake," she insisted loudly. "He probably photoshopped his name onto my brother's paperwork. Check the VIN number. It will match my brother's car." The officers did check the VIN number against their system, which only confirmed exactly what I had been saying the entire time. The car had been legally registered to me for 3 years. "Ma'am, do you have any documentation showing that your brother owned this vehicle?" one of the officers asked Karen. Her confident expression slipped for a moment before she quickly tried to recover. "I don't have it with me right now," she said quickly, "but if you come to my house, I can show you pictures of Robert with the car. It's identical, same color, same model. Everything." The officer exchanged a glance with the others. "Ma'am, even if your brother owned a similar car, that doesn't mean the specific vehicle belonged to him. All the documents show that this car belongs to this gentleman." Karen's face turned a deep shade of red. "You're not listening," she shouted angrily. "He manipulated the paperwork somehow. That's my brother's car, and I want him arrested for stealing it." Suddenly, she lunged toward me again, reaching for my pocket where I had placed the keys. "Give me those keys right now." The officers reacted immediately, pulling Karen away from me. "Ma'am, you need to calm down," the lead officer said firmly. But Karen was completely out of control. "Now, you're all incompetent," she screamed while struggling against the officer holding her. "That's my car, Robert's car. I'm the president of this HOA, and I demand that you do your job." She twisted free for a moment and made another grab for my keys, actually catching the edge of my pocket and tearing it slightly. That was the final straw. The officers quickly restrained her and, despite her continued shouting, placed her in handcuffs. "Karen Westfield, you are under arrest for filing a false police report, attempted theft, and assault," the lead officer said calmly while reading her rights. The expression of shock on Karen's face was unforgettable. Her eyes widened as if she simply couldn't process the fact that she was the one being arrested. "This is outrageous," she protested as they escorted her toward the patrol car. "Do you know who I am? I'm the president of the Oakwood Estates HOA. You can't arrest me for protecting my property." Later that day, I learned from several neighbors that Karen had officially been charged with filing a false police report, attempted theft, and assault. The evidence against her was overwhelming, especially since multiple witnesses and phone videos clearly showed her trying to grab my keys. To make matters worse for her, investigators soon discovered that Karen didn't even have a brother named Robert. The entire story had been completely fabricated. The judge set her bail at $25,000 and issued a restraining order that prevented her from coming within 100 feet of me or my property. The consequences for Karen were immediate and severe. The HOA board held an emergency vote and removed her from her position as president. Her employer, a local real estate agency known for its emphasis on ethics, placed her on unpaid leave while the case moved forward. When the story appeared on the local news, including footage of Karen screaming, "That's my Corvette," while being placed in a police car, her professional reputation was essentially ruined. The final chapter came 3 months later during her sentencing hearing. Even though she hired an expensive lawyer who argued that she had been experiencing temporary emotional distress, the judge wasn't convinced. Karen was sentenced to 6 months in county jail, followed by 2 years of probation. She was also ordered to pay a $5,000 fine along with court costs. As the bailiff escorted her out of the courtroom, the stunned look on her face showed that reality had finally set in. Her actions had real consequences. If you think Karen finally got what she deserved, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more wild stories where justice actually wins.